Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got the team from Somnara Studios, Alexander, Jay, Baxter, and Austin Trapp. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
We've been struggling for 10 years with the internet, but hopefully we're all good now.
Seems smooth now. We should be good.
So Alexander, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of background. How'd you get into the entertainment business, and how did Somnara come to be?
Yeah, so it's been a long road, as it usually is for a lot of people. Got it started down the acting route, went to school for that, did a few shows. I was on DC Legends for a second, Man
Yeah,
of the
you
High
were
Castle.
a mummy.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was when I auditioned for it, it was that debate of like, where are we going with this? Do you want like a like is it Walking Dead? And they're like,
right,
or like Scooby-Doo, and then I'm like more like, yeah, that's perfect. And so that was one of the weirdest days on set, but it was lovely. It was a good cast and a good crew. And then did Man in the High Castle, was a day player just as a RB agent, which was like,
uh-oh.
They liked what I did, and so then I got to become Hoover's deputy, did a few more episodes, and then just kind of like left the acting side of things not too long after that. Did a feature film, acted in that, but I just kind of was falling in love with the behind the scenes side of it, production design, directing, producing, kind of being a facilitator of talent, not just the talent side of things. And having had all my fingers on the pulse of the industry before from a performer perspective, I felt like I had a really good perspective going into it that I could really channel to kind of elevate things. And I did that for a few years, produced some movies, still producing movies, more horror, sci-fi genre stuff. And then 4 years ago was brought on during the pandemic as a creative consultant / creative director of, the scariest gourmets in Canada over here on the West Coast. And I did that for a few years and kind of always thought of it like as just doing this for the fun of it in the off season. And then the more I did it, realized that there's a business there, and it's a business that's kind of very developed in the States, as I'm pretty sure you know, and it's kind of growing here in Canada. And so we just kind of officially founded Baxter, my family, and the Jonkmans. We founded Somnara Studios this year, and launching our immersive horror kind of interactive haunted house over here in Vancouver, Surrey, exactly, BC. So it's been a ride. It's been a ride, and we're just getting started.
I kind of love the fact that, because a lot of actors, they go into it and then they run into it's so difficult, and they don't adjust. They just give up with it. And you found your niche with that. So you're working behind the scenes, and now you're taking the skills you learned, and you're doing this now. And I love that, because that's, to me, you're still getting to do what you love to do. You've got more control now.
Oh, and that's the biggest thing, man, is that, like, when I was in the industry, nothing killed me more. I worked on, like, I went from acting, and then in the interim between where I am now and then, I didn't know the behind the scenes world. I wasn't trained that. So I said, I'm like, what's the best education that I could get? And so I worked on set as a production assistant. And so I worked on Batwoman, Sabrina, Riverdale, Supergirl, all these superhero shows. was in essence like like a PA for a lot of the Warner Brothers executives, and you kind of learn how not to do a production by seeing people bitch and moan about what they're doing. And I think it's kind of the privilege in that was learning, how to do it better. And still getting to perform whenever we do a haunted house, getting to have to put on the makeup and the costume and be on the ground floor with everybody and have a good time. Write myself into a few films here and there. And then, Austin himself, like, he did the acting route, and he can speak to that as well. And still working as an actor. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that, Austin. How did you get into the entertainment business? And I think you did a little work on Man in the High Castle too.
I sure did. The funny thing is Alexander and I didn't know each other at the time. It would have been funny if we had met in that setting, but we actually did meet on a set years ago. Alexander, he created a very strong production company, Constellate Films, in Vancouver, that's still operating and producing films. And I had the pleasure of working with him on one of his films as an actor, and we kind of really found a comparable energy that I think not a lot of people have, especially in the acting scene, where we're not taking no for an answer. We're going, and we're gonna find success in this industry, and we're not going to be waiting for somebody to give us the green light. We're going to go out and make it happen ourselves. And we had this shared interest of working in the haunted house sector. I came about it in a bit of a different direction than himself, where I'm still pursuing acting actively, auditioning, booking projects here and there, but I've also worked in the tourism sector and the media and marketing sector as well. So I created Vancouver Film and TV Tours, Toronto Film and TV Tours. So I have this bit of a unique perspective from the tourism side of things, and building these different companies specific to the film industry and what people essentially want in an attraction.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good pairing between the two of
you. Yeah. We work well
so
together.
far pretty good.
Yeah.
Which,
our discussions are pretty much nonstop work, but
that's right. That's right.
That's how it goes. We love what we do, so it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. My son said tell you that he loved you in Candy Cane Lane.
Oh, thank you very much. That was a fun role. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Did you get to meet Eddie?
Eddie.
I thought Candy Cane Lane was the Eddie Murphy one.
Oh, no, that was this one's a GAC, so it's kind of similar in the Hallmark realm of things. But
right, okay. Well, that actually
yeah.
makes more sense, because I couldn't figure out why my son would watch it. But his girlfriend she's all about the Hallmark Christmas movies, so that makes more sense. I was like, really? Okay. But, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I'm not sure you could be in Canada and not one of you have been on a Christmas movie. You have to do at least one.
Oh, definitely.
I'm trying to avoid it. I'm not there yet.
Did you film in the summer?
I did. Yeah.
I don't understand why they don't film them in the right season and just show them the next season.
So there's a lot behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, you save a lot in production too. Like, it's in the hotter weather, you're not doing with AC units, you're not dealing with miserable crews. Like, you can get by on a more cost-effective budget by shooting in the summer. Although it probably would be a lot easier, because the second you film in the winter, it snows like crazy. Locations are unpredictable.
That's true.
So it's a logistics thing, but it does suck filming a cold scene when it's 35 degrees outside.
Well, I guess the reverse is true. A lot of summer films get filmed, in the wintertime. And, I don't know what y'all would prefer, to be too hot or too cold.
I like that middle ground. Would be nice.
So the new venture is Dreadworks Haunted House. So talk a little bit about that, because it sounds awesome, and I've been watching your Instagram posts, and just all of it coming together. It's terrific. But talk a little bit about that. What is Dreadworks Haunted House?
It's a culmination of a lot of unique factors. As you know, like a lot of haunted houses in the States and overseas, and some in Canada. We call it the conga line nightmare, because it's when your goal as a haunter is to give a guest an experience where they just kind of go through in these droves where you kind of get sardined together, where you hear someone scream up ahead and you see it happen before you have to get to experience the moment yourself. It's conga line, there's no moment for discovery. I know what's coming, and it's kind of like, oh, I
Well,
don't know if this
that's
person
kind of the downside with haunted houses. Once you've done one,
Yeah.
you've pretty much
Mhm.
done all of them. And yeah, I mean, for me, because I'm a chicken, it helps me to see what's coming because it's
Yeah.
prepared.
There's a pro there.
But most people don't like that.
No, and so we wanted to when I did at Man Farm's Scariest Corn Maze, I designed something that was based on an American model. There was a place in New Orleans that we went to called Asylum, and they did kind of what I was trained in school, which was immersive theater, which the lines of reality and theater are blurred, and you don't know what's real and what's not. And so when I went into that haunt, it really reignited that old passion in me to do this immersive theater where you as a guest are a part of the story. And so Dreadworks was designed to be a longer haunt than most. It's about 40 minutes long. So you're actually like, it's a long one. And the goal is, can you survive the 40-minute haunted experience? And, there's a tap out thing at the end where you hold up a sign, I lasted this long. But it's designed in a way where your group goes in for minute 30 scene times however many scenes there are. So you're actually only with your group experiencing a cinematic, and cinematic in the sense of, when you go to watch a movie, that production design, the high quality sets, costumes, like really elevated acting, and you're in that scene helping the character solve a puzzle or do something to then get you to that next scene, and you don't see anyone else. So there's almost this kind of like isolation feel when you're going through the experience, but it also gives you the moment to enhance that experience with your friends. You get to solve a puzzle, almost like an escape room, before you can get to the next room, and not also having everything ruined, because we've designed a scare band technology that, say you're a scaredy cat, you wear red. Red means, don't touch me, don't scare me. I'm just here to watch.
Oh, I like that.
Versus green, where they can touch you, separate you, feed you, strap you down, roll you down a hallway. And so it gives you that full immersion. And then yellow is just, don't touch me, but you can still scare me. And we wanted to do that because I mean, I'm afraid of everything. That's the joke. I'm afraid of my own shadow, which is why I write this stuff, because I know it scares me. So me back in the day, I would have loved to be able to go to these experiences and be able to just tailor it to what I was comfortable with. And
Right.
so Dreadworks is the everybody's haunted house. That's kind of our goal with it, is we want everyone to be able to step into this world and have an unforgettable Disney quality experience.
Yeah, I love it. Austin, it seems to me like it's almost like you're in your own horror movie.
Exactly. I think what will really make this haunt stand apart is our attention to detail in terms of the storyline, and using our film industry connections to really make it as immersive of an experience as possible. So even hitting, your 4 different senses, you might get fed something, as Alexander mentioned, you might get wheeled away, you hear things, you smell things. Just this over the top cinematic experience that I think takes a whole team that has worked in the film industry to put this all together to make this haunted attraction unique.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Are both of you in it, or did you just help create it, but other people are going to be doing the scaring?
Yeah, so myself, I always like to put on the makeup and costume and kind of get on the ground floor, like kind of like the ghost host with the most kind of idea. And it's also fun because it allows me to tap into that performer level energy. And for me, the biggest thing is immersion. It's the Disneyland model where you never see them take out the garbage. Like they build the tunnels under the park
Right.
so that you don't get that ruined experience. And so say there's a HR issue, or say there's a security issue, or say there's even just a acting note situation where if I went in there with my vest and my walkie on and be like, hey, do this differently, like that takes the guest out of the experience. But then if I can go in with, my cheekbone prosthetics and my top hat and my ringmaster costume, no one's going to be like, he doesn't belong here.
Right.
It gives me the ability to almost be a ghost on the wall. That's kind of my philosophy with everybody who's going to be on the day. I have yet to convince Austin to adorn the costume and makeup, but yes, I will definitely be all gory and creepy.
Soon enough. We also we're gonna have like several scare actors roaming the grounds and in different costumes, and with their own storyline and background attached to it as well. And
I like
kind
that.
of in addition to, you know, surviving the whole haunted attraction itself, there's an idea of like being the hero of your own horror movie, essentially. So people really will feel like they're in a movie, but they'll be surviving it, we think.
How do you handle, like with me, I love the idea of the red shirt because that would totally be me. But how do you handle, you know, somebody that panics or gets overly scared and maybe lashes out? How do you handle those situations?
So we're very lucky that because it's a very established industry in the States, there's chaos. They call it chaos protocols, and things like that are meant to teach people how to handle, like, yeah, like, different color codes, like yellow or orange might be intoxication, red might be anger. We have a code-based system that our staff knows the specific, and we don't really like to share that with the public, but we do have a code-based system that can help someone identify, like say somebody's being very aggressive, we can have a internal code system that they could say, and then management can get into one of the back doors, safely remove that person very passively, get them to security, get them to the police, depends on the issue. Or if someone have an anxiety attack, like, being able to have a lights on moment, so to speak, like, hey, it's just a mask, come with me, management's been made aware, our support staff comes in, gets the flashlight on, escorts them out through the fire lane on the outside, and then they get taken to the property where they can be, sent to first aid if they need to, if it's a severe attack, or let them cool down, say if they still want to do it again, or just safely remove them. So we have a really, really complicated and in-depth system in place to make sure that people are safe at all phases, because it is intense. And like, if you're not, it's also 40 minutes. Like,
Right.
if you're not prepared,
That's a long time.
Yeah, and so some people might, so it's kind of that tap out escape room energy, like, I didn't make it through. And it also just creates this culture of like people wanting to come back and accomplish something and not overwhelmed, but yeah, accomplish something and get over top of an obstacle that they may have had. And like, I didn't make it this year, but I'm gonna make it next year. That kind of culture.
Yeah, I think that's pretty great. Did Austin, was it, I'm assuming that the experience you've had with tourism has probably helped with the marketing side of this?
Definitely. Yeah. And not only just tourism, but yeah, like creating content as a whole. We're fans of horror. We want to get people excited about Halloween and all the aspects about it. I think it's really cool, all the sets that we're building and all the aspects that go behind a haunted attraction. It essentially is a movie set. So we do little teasers of how things are built, and we've become very, very incredible at using different materials to create such a top level experience that I think people, if you might go once and you'll notice some aspects of it, but I think there's always going to be like additional nuggets that people can find as they return, because we are really focused on the world building of this attraction as well.
Yeah. How long did it take to get it set up, or are you still getting it set up?
Well, it's been in development for quite a few years now, but I'd say that the actual building side of it, we've been going since I believe March at some point. March.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about March, April, and it's been like nonstop with a huge crew until since then. We're doing it very circus style because we're at the Cloverdale Fairgrounds. It's going to be a 100 by 100-foot event tent with a large facade covering the front of it, and then we're going to be having the haunt itself living inside that space with a large midway and stage show and all that jazz. And going off of the world building as well, we're very lucky. So my family are crazy creatives. My grandmother Nana Sheila does all of our costume design. She's a award-winning costume designer in film.
Yeah.
My mother does special effects and makeup. She worked with Greg Nicotero from The Walking Dead on the on Creep Show with him, so she's bringing that like elevated movie monster level quality to this.
I kind of love that your mom's involved. That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's hell, but I love it.
She's great.
It's we're gypsies, like it's having Romanian roots. It's kind of a joke that it's that traveling gypsy caravan, since we're very artistically involved in Austin as well, and the entire team here, like we all become a big family. And I think that's kind of that's the beautiful thing about this industry, is that you find that the common ground, and it's the love for horror, the love for Halloween, and the love for making movies. And so we just found that platform for it, which is really neat.
Yeah, I love that.
In addition,
go ahead.
In addition to mentioning family, yes, it's a haunted house. Yes, it'll be scary, but we do like to tell people it is suitable for families as well. So we have more or less a cutoff age of about 10 for kids, but everybody will sign a waiver and parents will sign off for them. And obviously the scare band technology can help cater that experience for how intensive our guests are in the haunted attraction.
What is the scare band technology? Is that the collar coding or is that something different?
Yeah, so Scareband in essence is like an LED wristband. It kind of goes off of the color system, and we're in developments on a technology that actually allows the guests to actually have their experience recorded, and then via email, a video is delivered to their inbox of their actual experience, kind of designed like a short film. So you actually leave the experience with your own little horror movie, which is then connected to the scare band, and so then that way the camera knows based on the code to know which camera to also focus on.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's really neat.
That is pretty neat. Do you provide, like, do you take like the amusement park rides where they take the pictures? Do you take photos while they're in there, or little clips to give to them when they're done or available to purchase, something like that?
And that's also the biggest thing as well, is that we do photos, we do videos, and it's all available to their inbox afterwards, as well as print offs. And then that way it also just gives them something to remember the experience by, which is very big for us, is the take home things that don't cost you anything. Because so many parks they overcharge and oversell those aspects, and then you lose out people that feel like they've just been like almost taken advantage of in a lot of ways.
Well, it's kind of free advertising, because they're going to take that and show everybody.
Well, and so when you go to, when you leave an amusement park and you've been, you spent X number of dollars on your ticket, and you might have got a fast pass, you paid for parking, whatever it is, you get some food, and then suddenly now you're like, oh, and I want to remember the experience, and now there's another $80. Like, I've never liked that model, and I think that in today's culture, with where the economy's at and where people are wanting their experience dollars spent, I think having just some take homes that are for free, that are included, it's a nice gesture that we can do as event operators. And you're right, it's free advertising and marketing, and if we can control that and give this beautiful short film horror experience that's shot on like cinematic lenses, that you can feel like you just were in a short film in a horror movie, it's something cool that no one's doing, which we really like.
That is pretty great. When does it run?
We have our media night on the 21st, and then we are running from September 21st is our media night. It's our movie. We're inviting a bunch of celebrities, the film industry, the entertainment industry, the political industry, the side of things as well. And then September 27th all the way to November 3rd, Wednesday to Sunday every week.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Is it something that once you've got it built, I mean, do you have to tear that structure down, or can you reuse it for other things?
Give me a year with the city of Surrey and we'll see what we can do. But it's gonna have to be like a circus style. You set up, you take down.
Yeah.
But we're branching off into Christmas and other seasons.
Well, that was my next question, because it seems like you could do this for every season and every type of event and just change the content a little bit.
Yeah, and because we're big world builders, like we really like Somnara is the cooking plate here. We built a very in-depth world, kind of like how Disney has their overarching narrative where all these beautiful narratives live, like the Mickey Mouse, the Mad Hatter's Tea House, all these different things. We're trying to do the same thing with Somnara, in the sense that just really creating these unique stories so that when we do Christmas, they can still live in the same world, but it's more uplifting. It's maybe a German Christmas market feeling. It kind of brings that fantastical European aesthetic to the north, to North America. So yeah, we're branching off, but we'll be kind of modular for the first 5 years before we kind of get into more of a permanent property, because the long-term goal is amusement park. We're building towards that, but that's a huge step.
Yeah. I'd love to see you do that with like a Dungeons and Dragons type setting.
I'm a huge medieval fantasy nut. I would die for that. We're developing like a dark medieval fantasy TV series right now, and it's been in the work for a while. But if it does take off how we want to, we would want to do a part of the park that's like a medieval fantasy kind of adventure-scape kind of idea.
So Austin, if they talk you into getting into it, if you're a character in there, any thoughts on what type of character you'd want to be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I would love to do something like exploring my physicality and finding different
Yeah.
ways to move my body, I think. Um, yeah, I think I'd love to be thrown into a costume with some blood on it and maybe some scars. Like maybe my monster has met his maker, so to speak, met his match, and he's like coming through with like a desire to inflict that same harm onto the next one on the totem pole, so to speak.
You know, I always thought that it's those movies where you've got a creature that another creature has scared and is chasing.
Yeah.
So you're going through and just some monster comes flying through past you, you know, terrified, and then you're like, what scared him?
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of the fun thing about Dreadworks is that we built this kind of almost dark comedy perspective in the factory where this is where all nightmares and monsters are made. You know, when you no longer serve a purpose anymore, you either are reintegrated into the factory. So for example, we have a swamp, like the Swamp Thing, who's the janitor, who's literally mopping up the floors as you're going along. And then you have, or if you're not, you're disintegrated and you're eaten by the blob. And so it's kind of this factory where monsters are running the show over other monsters, but it's kind of this idea of like the hierarchy of which ones have, you know, which ones are typing and doing accounting versus which ones are scaring Timothy in his like nightmare chamber. And it's kind of Monsters Inc. meets like dark horror fantasy.
Yeah, I kind of love that. That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
different.
cool. I mean, why would you ever go to another haunted house after you've done this?
I know.
Exactly.
That's my question. It's like, why buy a mattress anywhere else but with haunted houses?
Yeah.
Also,
Any-
also the thing
Go ahead.
I would mention as well is obviously we have the haunted attraction itself, you know, being a 40-minute immersive experience, but we do have a good plot of land at the Cloverdale Fairgrounds. So the plan is to really extend this world that we're building just outside of that actual attraction itself into the grounds that surround that area. So it'll be really nice to just have this Halloween aesthetic in the realm of Dreadworks as you wander around. So there'll be some nice photo opportunities throughout the grounds and some interactive elements when people are even in line. We're not planning on having, you know, massive lines or anything like that because that would be counter-inductive to the whole
Right. You don't want to be
line
waiting
sort of
for
experience
hours
of
to
the
get
others.
in.
No, that's not what the plan is. We have a cap on the amount of people per night, and even in the grounds, like we'll have our scare actors around in character and interacting with the guests. So it'll be just a nice area to mingle and soak up the Halloween atmosphere that is Dreadworks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. Are you going to, is there going to be food vendors? Are you selling merchandise?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
gonna have at least I think this year we're landing at least 4 or 5 food vendors, and then we're gonna be selling merchandise, different drinks options. It's a non-alcoholic event. We just wanted to save ourselves a
I'll
headache
say
and also
probably
to
smart.
invite. Yeah, and also like now it opens the door for more families and people who have kids that might want to come that are yeah, old enough to be like not terrified and traumatized by the experience. That's why we have the bands. Like if one person in the group is red, then everyone is at yellow, which means that there's not going to be someone who's going to get pulled and separated. Because if a kid comes in there with a red band and then suddenly someone has a green band and they're like strapped to a table and rolled down the hallway, the kid's going to be like, so you want to have it that once someone's red, everyone is a yellow. So then that way there's no room for like them to be traumatized by what they're seeing, and then it also sells to the horror fanatics who really want an elevated experience and want to be pushed and want to have their, boundaries, at least from a scare experience, changed. And I think that definitely the food offerings and the drink offerings that we're doing will eventually do alcohol at the event in future years and have like sections that are just for adults and maybe a night that's just for adults. But yeah, just kind of playing it safe for this year and being smart.
Yeah, I love the whole. You talked about it being kind of a circus to putting it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I kind of love that. You could do so much with that. You know,
Mhm.
you could have different acts or different things going on off of the main story that people could go into,
Mhm.
just like you would in the old time circuses where you kind of wander tent to tent.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
and
a
you
lot of
know what, like,
possibilities there.
and that's kind of the saddest thing is that whole circus culture really died down a long time ago, and it wasn't that the model didn't adapt to the modern age. Like the model was very much, and it was bad for what it was. Like it was the freak show. That's what they called it. It's a very
Right.
insensitive term behind it. Like we have a lot of individuals who are extremely talented that I would never in a million years put that label on it. But the model itself is beautiful, where it's a pop-up event that brings people together to elevate and accentuate talent that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And it never modernized. And so it's kind of the hope with Dreadworks and Somnara that we can kind of bring a new era to what people think of when they think of a traveling caravan or a circus.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That is how special effects heavy is it? Is it mostly relying on the people, or is it pretty intense special effects wise too?
I think it's a blend, which is kind of cool. It's like every actor, we really like we have our head of costuming, Sheila, as I mentioned, and Shelly doing makeup, and Maddie doing makeup, and Mallory doing costumes as well. And from that perspective, every actor has a custom character and world built for them. So that means the costumes custom, all the prosthetics and the transfers on their face, the wigs, everything is custom. And then in the haunt itself, the special effects side of things, like the gags, the pneumatics that might make a door flare open, those are sprinklings, but they're not the whole meal. The characters really sell the world, and by giving them such custom looks, whereas most haunted houses would be like, just spray dirt on them in blood and just throw them in there, and it's like a 12-year-old supposed to be like a doctor being like, I just did this surgery, and you're like, did you though? So that's one thing that we're avoiding, is that lack of immersion. I don't want a 16-year-old kid that's like 5'1" holding a butcher's cleaver and trying to scare me down a hallway. That's not what I do. So we're very fortunate to have a lot of mature actors coming out on this thing.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but that's true. You know, a lot of haunted houses, you know, that I've been to in the past, it's kind of that. It's basically somebody with a cleaver chasing you around a little bit.
Well, and you know why though? And this is the saddest part, is that this industry is built with a lot of individuals who are so cost-minded.
Yeah.
That for them, it's not even about the quality. It's about, yeah, sure, they're haunted house collectors. They love collecting and spending a lot of money on big props and stuff, but they don't put their resources into the people. And I think that's where this business can definitely learn from the film industry and a lot of the other entertainment side of things is sure, we're a startup company in the haunted house side of things, and we're working with our budget for this year, but we're very much built on growth. That every year that the business does well, everyone involved does well. You know, we can pay better actors. We can give people enough that they can live off of this, and it's not just like I have to sacrifice to do this, because most haunted houses will pay somebody but like almost below minimum wage, and of course they're going to get kids because no one else can afford to do that.
Yeah, well, that's right. It seems like that once you're established, you could have guest actors come in and kind of join for a weekend or whatever, but you could have kind of known horror actors come in and be part of it. And I think they would want to. Of
course, it's fun. Like I can't say the names yet, but there's these two local actresses that we're circling on for our two-headed receptionists that are known for being twins that are older, and so we're gonna have them behind the front desk, and it's gonna be conjoined twins on a costume, like arguing over the paperwork, and they might be able to only do a Thursday or a Friday night, but that's all we really care about. Like, it's just giving people the platform to come and play. That's just the goal.
Yeah. Was it difficult casting? Did you have to go through a bunch to find the right fits?
Yeah. I think Austin can comment on that pretty well. It was definitely a challenge, but passionate people want to do this.
Yeah. Well, and I like the fact that you're not just bringing in, I mean, it'd be fine if you got some younger participants, some younger actors, but really having mature actors that know what they're about a little bit and are professional and can even so that everything's not 100% the same for each group. That makes a big difference.
Well, and the last thing you want is like 25 people who are just going through puberty telling you to run away before it gets you. And it also, just from a safety perspective, having more mature guests and scenes so that these kids aren't having to deal with say if there's a safety issue, then there's two 16-year-olds in a room and you're asking them to help coordinate guests to a separation point. Like, it just it's just not properly managed most of the time.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty proud of the structure that we're putting together on this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty great. That's pretty great.
Mhm.
With that, what why the horror theme to start instead of, something, kind of milder? Is it just a Halloween, kind of theme? Everybody loves Halloween.
Halloween's a huge burgeoning model. It's super popular in the States. It's growing here in Canada. I definitely want, and the thought was, well, why not just do it more like, Disney's, Haunted Mansion, where it's just like, oh, ghost host. Like, it's nothing, it's spooky, but it's not scary. And there's going to be aspects of experimentation this year. Like, we want to use this almost like a race car, where we need to know how far we can go with the throttle before we bring it back. And Halloween, having a lot of our team here, that's where we came from, having worked at the Scariest Corn Maze. So we understand Halloween like it's second nature to us. So starting there with that momentum, the connections, the resources, it just was a no-brainer. But it definitely for us is a launching point for other seasons. And we even chatted when myself and Austin were over in Montreal for Fantasia, that genre film festival and market. And if with this doing well in the next few years, to do a Dreadworks feature film.
That was my next question, because it seems like you could do it. You've already got the set.
Okay, exactly. The sets,
Exactly.
the costumes, the prosthetics, like, and the talented actors. So that's definitely where we're very much a multifaceted, multi-minded business in that sense. We want to go for that studio amusement park model. That's kind of our goal with this thing.
What's the reception been like so far? I know it hadn't come out yet, but just the anticipation of it.
It's been strong. Yeah, we've recently released tickets for sale. We have a discount code for early bird tickets early on. But yeah, a lot of people have been excited. It's been really cool to see, because you don't really know it. It is summertime. Sometimes Halloween isn't in the forefront of people's minds. But I do think that obviously with seeing how popular Halloween is in the States, and it's definitely popular in Canada, we're growing to get to the States level, but ultimately it's becoming more and more popular, I'd say, year round, with people consistently enjoying original content for, horror films and things like that. And obviously the new phrase Summerween, where summer and Halloween are merging together. So stay tuned for some content related to that pretty soon, as we gear up for our big event in October.
Yeah, that's exciting. Did you have a favorite horror movie growing up?
It definitely stands out. I remember the original It, like the clown. I just remember closing my eyes and
Tim
just
Curry,
not
right?
being
Tim
able.
Curry.
Yeah, I was not able to like fall asleep with that. Honestly, though, I was pretty scared of horror movies growing up, but I've come to really love them as I've gotten older. And now, anytime a new one comes out, I'm excited about it, and that's one of the ones I'll be most likely to go to the theater for.
Yeah. How about you, Alexander?
I hated horror movies growing up. I was scared of my own shadow. I stopped liking swimming in lakes because I watched Lake Placid and watched an old lady feed alligators and thought that was going to be that's a thing that happens in the world. Although the movie that really had the deepest impact on me, probably not in a good way, but made me. I always enjoyed the Nightmare on Elm Street, like the Friday the 13th, the Halloween franchises. They're just iconic, movie monster films. That's what I enjoyed the most. But there was a film called Darkness Falls that kind of followed this, tooth fairy gone. Oh, messed me up, man. I slept with the nightlight on until I was freaking 16 years old. It really messed me up but it taught me one valid thing about belief, is that people don't go to horror movies because they want to be. They don't want to feel good emotions. They're not going there to be like the sensation that I have when I eat a nice piece of cake that I like.
Right.
They're going there to be affirmed in something. And that is what I'm afraid of is valid. And I think that's the human condition. It's like why we're afraid of the dark, why we're afraid of burning our hand on the stove. It's like, when things happen to us, it affirms that something is real. And I think that being afraid of the dark, in that movie Darkness Falls, like that infinite question of, when you're standing out in the middle of the forest at night, you can't see anything, what is out there? And where am I safe? Am I safe? And so that kind of really trailblazed, whether I knew it at the time or not, my understanding of the depth of what belief can do, especially if given to in a vessel that is understandable. So I'd say Darkness Falls. I wouldn't recommend it. It's a terrifying movie. It might not be that bad now, but I haven't watched it since I was 8 or whenever it came out.
Well, yeah, those movies that like terrify you when you're young, I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm not watching that again, and I haven't.
No,
I could probably watch it now, and I'd be like, well, that's not even scary. But no thanks.
but the chance that it might be, no, thank you. I'm good.
No thanks. I was more the Universal monster type of, the black and white stuff. I like that because it could be kind of spooky at times, but there was no real gore, and the scares were mild, really.
Oh yeah, and those ones as well. There's kind of a realm now experiencing the world in color. You're like, okay, that's not real. You know what I mean? You can disassociate yourself with it a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it does. It takes you out just enough to where you can survive.
Exactly. I feel like, okay, I'm not gonna get chased down by a black and white monster. I'm fine.
Well, thank you guys so much. So it's Dreadworks.
Oh, thanks,
it starts September 27th. Austin, can you run through the social media for it?
Yeah, so Dreadworks Haunts. You can find us on Instagram. We're on TikTok, Facebook as well. Also, check out our website. We have a lot of additional content, not only about purchasing the tickets and the dates, but even just some lore for people that really like to get into the world, especially before they arrive at it. We have a commercial running, so you can kind of get a bit of a visual in terms of the cinematic quality of what we're making, and that's all at dreadworks.ca.
Yeah, terrific. Alexander, any plans at some point to bring this to the States?
Yes, sir. I mean, with anything we do, the more we uncover intellectual property, which is big for us, our original stories, the more we establish these ideas as movies, the more it is sellable on an international model. So if we can establish ourselves, within the next 5-10 years, it's kind of like we're very long-term minded, but yeah, the hope is that in the next 10 years, we can be very international with this. That's kind of our building point. So build a fan base here internationally and then grow into those territories. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be
the sky's the limit.
It'd be kind of neat seeing the, like what you could come up with for different countries.
Yes, and then
I'd love to being scared by a bunch of French clowns if you were in France. That might be terrifying.
Well, and see, and that's the beautiful thing about it, I think, too, is that the more we do movies of these intellectual properties, the more we can then license these ideas out to other amusement parks and other haunts, and then be a part of that process with them. And so then Dreadworks and Somnara can just have that outreach, and then we can be in just more places than one.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. You have to come back after and kind of give us an update.
Yes.
On
Definitely
a recap when we're husks in November.
I was gonna say you'll come back and just look worn out.
Yeah. You'd be like, your makeup looks great. I'd be like, what makeup?
It's been great, guys. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks so much for your time today. We thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, hold on one second. Alexander J. Baxter and Austin Trapp from Somnara Studios. So it's Dreadworks Haunted House at the Cloverdale Fairgrounds starting on September 27th. Make sure you get your tickets, especially if you're a horror fan. If you're a chicken like me, I would still say go. Just let them know, and they won't give you the full experience. But if you're a horror fan, you absolutely have to do this. And I have a feeling once you do it, you're done with all other haunted houses. This is going to be the one. I love the possibilities of it. I think that's kind of what strikes me. And I'm not very creative, so I'm sure there's 100 ways you could do it better than anything I could come up with. But just, the whole time we were talking, my mind's spinning of the possibilities that you could use that type of immersive experience. I mean, that's just terrific. And I think once they're established, they probably will get better and better actors, because why wouldn't you want to do that? That's a resume builder. It's pretty great. And I know a lot of actors, they want that prosthetic ability, the putting on the makeup and to show that they can handle it, that type of thing on the resume. This would be a great way to do that. I've got some guesses on who the twins are. I won't. I'm sure you do too. I've got some ideas, but I'm anxious to see who they actually turn out to be. So if you're watching the episode, drop some comments and let me know who you think the twins are going to be. Thank you guys for tuning in again with us. So glad that you're here. Definitely don't take you for granted. Today we're putting out episode 817. You know, we tend to put out 3 or 4 episodes a week. We're fairly high volume. If you're finding us for the first time, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. It's free. It really does help us out. If you prefer audio, we've got audio and video on our website, meistercon.com. You can go through all 817 and counting episodes. It'll also let you know if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, like to the Dreadworks Haunted House, or if we're covering a convention. Anything we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.